All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're looking at the massive 2026 blockbuster, Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling. But listen, we aren't just going to rehash the plot today. Instead, we are going to look at this film as an absolute masterclass in tactile sensory immersion. Because what directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller pulled off here isn't just another space movie. It is an incredibly deliberate, deeply textured experience designed to literally make you feel every single inch of the cosmos. Their mission right from the start was crystal clear. They actively fought against the cold, antiseptic, shiny tropes we almost always see in deep space sci-fi. Think about it. So many space movies give us these slick, completely sterile corridors. But Lord and Miller, they explicitly stated they wanted the movie to feel like you were in the guts of a machine. They wanted something messy, warm, and just authentically chaotic. So, to truly understand how they pulled off this magic, here is the roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll look at the grounded real-world locations, the guts of a machine, a warm and inviting vacuum, and finally, scoring the cosmos. Let's get to it. Starting off with Section 1, grounded real-world locations, bringing deep space to England. It's actually kind of a hilarious micro to macro irony when you think about it. The entire physical geography of this sprawling, massive galactic adventure really just boils down to 3 grounded spots in England. The bulk of the heavy lifting was done at Shepperton Studios down in Surrey, which is one of the biggest film studios in the world. But what I find absolutely fascinating is their use of the Mullard Radio Astronomy Observatory in Cambridgeshire. See, this is an active research facility operated by the University of Cambridge, totally packed with massive radio telescopes. By shooting there, they actively grounded the film's wild astrophysics plot, scientists desperately trying to decode a threat to our sun, in authentic, real-world science. Now, what's really cool about these locations is the direct connection to you. Portsmouth's South Parade Pier, with its seaside views, the boardwalk, and arcade areas, was used for Ryland Grace's pre-mission life on Earth. And out of the 3 locations we just talked about, this is the only one fully open to the public. It's the one place where you can literally step into Ryan Gosling's shoes and experience the physical setting of the film for yourself. Moving right along to Section 2, the guts of a machine, focusing on tactile set design. So, shifting from the macro geography of England to the micro environment of the actual spaceship, these filmmakers had an absolute dedication to practical set construction. They went way out of their way to avoid giant green screens and blue screens. They painstakingly built the physical interior of the Hail Mary spacecraft right there at Shepperton Studios. Why go through all that trouble? Because it ensured Ryan Gosling actually had a tangible, enveloping environment to physically interact with, rather than trying to act opposite a blank blue wall. It's a total game changer for performance. They even used black backgrounds for deep space and real color-shifting backdrops to recreate the glowing auras of alien planets. And the directors used just a brilliant analogy for this design. The ship is messy. There is garbage everywhere. You've got wires hanging out. As they put it, it's a machine with the guts on the outside. It's not a Mac, it's a PC. So the crucial point to take away here is that this chaotic sensory environment isn't just for show. It perfectly mirrors our protagonist, Ryland Grace. Just like the ship, Grace's own emotional machinery, his clumsiness, his vulnerability, is completely on the outside, fully exposed to us. Taking direct inspiration from Ridley Scott's 1979 classic Alien, they specifically designed the ship with cream-colored, quilted, genuinely dirty walls. The directors wanted the whole thing to feel like a patchwork quilt constructed by many different nations working together. Waking up surrounded by these quilted walls creates this immediate feeling of tactile envelopment. It feels like a cozy, dirty, multinational quilt, definitely not a shiny, sterile box. All right, Section 3, a warm and inviting vacuum, all about framing the cosmos. Cinematographer Greg Fraser intentionally flipped traditional, isolating sci-fi tropes completely on their head for this movie. Just notice the stark visual contrast they set up. When the film shows memories of Earth, it uses a widescreen aspect ratio with really tight film grain, basically making it feel like a sliver of an idealized, distant memory. But then, when we are actually in space, the format shifts to a tall IMAX screen with a large, incredibly palpable film grain. Space is treated as the immediate, heavily textured reality. It's completely naturalistic and handheld. And why does that visual contrast even matter? Because it serves the entire emotional core of the film. Most movies, they feature a character who feels totally at home on Earth, but gets intensely lonely in space. Project Hail Mary does the exact opposite. It's really a story about a guy who felt completely alienated and lonely back on Earth, but actually manages to find his absolute best friend in the cold vacuum of space. By making the IMAX space footage so highly textured and warm, they framed the cosmos not as some terrifying void, but as an inviting, surprisingly homey place where a human and a faceless alien rock creature can deeply connect. Which brings us to our final pillar. Section 4, Scoring the Cosmos. Let's dig into Daniel Pemberton's incredibly organic audio. We absolutely have to unpack composer Daniel Pemberton's wildly inventive approach to the soundtrack. Space movies almost always rely super heavily on digital synthesizers to sound sleek and futuristic, right? Well, Pemberton completely rejected that approach. He favored physical instrumentation and highly unique samples. By utilizing physical acoustic sounds over digital ones, he ensured that this massive science fiction epic retained a deeply personal, warm, and emotionally resonant heartbeat. To create the drum machine patterns, he literally recorded a 16-person group just doing body percussion. We're talking clapping and stamping. He brought in incredibly rare, highly textural instruments like the crystal baquette and a glass harmonica. And honestly, my favorite part, he even sampled a leaky, squeaky tap that he recorded in a friend's house on an iPhone. I mean, think about that. A celestial, awe-inspiring space score was quite literally built from the micro sounds of squeaky plumbing and human clapping. And you know what? This completely bizarre musical gamble absolutely paid off. The deeply weird, choral, and organic score charted incredibly well with audiences across the globe. It hit number 9 on the French Classical Albums chart, number 17 on the UK Album Downloads chart, and even number 43 on the Japanese Digital Albums chart. Pemberton proved that you for sure do not need cold digital synthesizers to make a hit sci-fi soundtrack. You just need to capture the pure joy of intellectual discovery. So, the absolutely crucial takeaway from all of this, from the grounded science locations in England to those dirty quilted walls to the warm IMAX film grain, all the way to the squeaky tap soundtrack, is that every single choice was made to foster a sense of intimate connection. And it leaves us with this pretty provocative thought. If a lonely science teacher can step into a messy, PC-like spacecraft, travel all the way into the cold void of deep space, and somehow manage to find his absolute best friend, what are we capable of bridging right here on Earth? Thank you so much for exploring the anatomy of immersion with me on today's Explainer. Keep asking questions and keep looking up.